Welcome, welcome, one and all, to Here's My Thing. I'm your host, Frankie Salazar, and oh boy, that'll never get old, will it? Just kidding. There's actually nobody really here. But you didn't know that until I told you that, did you? Because here's the thing. I'm working on becoming the next Jimmy Fallon. Think Jimmy Kimmel, Stephen Colbert, Ellen DeGeneres, Wendy Williams, James Corden. Now listen. I know that a lot of those people are pretty controversial, so I'm going to try to do things a little differently. But we're kind of going for that vibe. For my very first episode, I'm a little nervy. I have my script, I have everything here. This isn't my first time in front of the camera, but it is my first time trying to do something kind of like this, kind of like a podcast talk show-esque vibe. But I want to start this episode off talking about none other than Nicki Minaj. Now, for those of you who don't know me, it wouldn't be a Frankie Salazar video if we didn't talk about her. Because my name may be Frankie Salazar, but the name on my driver's license is, and I quote, Head Barb, okay? Don't play with me. When it comes to Nicki Minaj, we love her, okay? So, before we get into the story about her, I want to go ahead and tell you a joke, okay? So stay with me. Why did Nicki Minaj go to jail? Think about that. Why did Nicki Minaj go to jail? Because she was caught super basing in a no-no zone. Yes. I can hear the crickets too. Okay. That one was a flop. Let's go ahead and try this again, all right? Why did Nicki Minaj go to jail? Why? For barbing too much. Guess she was caught in a rap sheet. Yes, I know. All of you are clicking away already. But don't worry, it's going to get a lot better from here. Now, if you were one of the probably 0 people that laughed at that joke, I wrote it, okay? But for the rest of you who didn't laugh at those horrendous jokes, just know that I took to none other than ChatGPT to write that. Okay? Because why would I want to write my own scripts? I mean, that's hard. I need somebody else to do that. I'm using the resource known as AI to try to further enhance my videos. Because I heard that ChatGPT can write whole essays for people. Okay, that's what I heard. I mean, kids are getting caught cheating in school, and they're using none other than ChatGPT. But when I told it to tell me a joke about Nicki Minaj going to jail, that's the best it could do. And if you don't believe me, I'll go ahead and put it up on screen right now of the 2 jokes, because when it told me that first one about her super bassing too loud or whatever, I told it exactly, I said, tell me another one, because I don't like that one. It just sucked. And then ChatGPT somehow made it even worse. So from there, I just deleted the app because I couldn't stand it. But anyhow, let's get right into the first story, all right? Nicki Minaj had a warrant out for her arrest. Now, I have all the details here on my computer, so please pardon me if I have to go ahead and take a look, but I just want to make sure that I get everything right in chronological order. Earlier last year, Nicki Minaj was doing her world tour, and while she was in Detroit, her manager named, let's take a look here, none other than Brandon Jovan, I don't know, Garrett, is alleging that Nicki berated him and even physically assaulted him multiple times while they were on the tour. So this alleged assault took place on April 21st while they were in Detroit at none other than the Little Caesars Arena, which I find that name funny for some reason. Anyhow, after he had gone out to get ice cream for, I don't know, maybe just the crew or whatever, he comes back in to find the head of security, Nicki herself, and 5 other members of the team waiting for him. And they go ahead and call him into a room. So when they were in that room, Nicki had inquired about where her prescription was, because she told Mr. Garrett that he was in charge of getting her prescription. I mean, he is her manager. He's her tour manager. That's, not a crazy request. Well, he informed Nicki about the prescription and admitted to the fact that he gave that responsibility to somebody else. Now, the lawsuit is alleging that Nicki, and I quote, became enraged with her manager, prompting her to call him crazy, screaming expletives at him and, just saying crazy things. Nicki then threatened her husband on the manager, saying, and I quote, that if he were there, he would knock out his teeth. And she wasn't done there. She was not done there. Let me tell you, folks. She goes on saying, and I quote, "You're a dead man walking. You just effed up your whole life. And you will never be anyone. I'll make sure of it." So, as she's saying all this, she then takes her hand and in the lawsuit, and I quote, open-handedly strikes him across the face and at the same time slaps his wrist. And he drops the items and his hat goes flying and his head flies off in a swivel. And oh my God, how could a 5'2" woman assault me like that? So he did what any civilized grown man would do, and he locked himself, he locked himself in a bathroom, fearing for his safety for hours. Okay? This is per his own testimony. He locked himself in a bathroom for hours. So then after that had happened, he goes down to the Detroit Police Department to file a formal complaint against Nicki. So the police department, upon hearing his testimony, goes and issues a formal warrant for Nicki Minaj's arrest. Well, somehow in there, the DA or the prosecution in Detroit intercepts that warrant and denies their request for the warrant, citing, and I quote, that there was insufficient evidence to prove a crime had even been committed. Okay? All of this is per NBC, and as I'm speaking, you can see that I'm putting up imagery to my side, and he's also trying to seek a jury trial against her. So now Nicki's in this formal lawsuit, even though she's no longer at risk, there's no warrant for her arrest, there is still a pending lawsuit going on. So this is all going to get very sticky, and if there's any more developments, we will cover it on the show, because we talk all things Nicki here on the show. Here's my thing. For those of you who know Nicki Minaj, or just don't live under rocks, you'll know that this is not Nicki's first or probably even second, third, fourth, or fifth run-in with the law. Up on screen now, I have a picture of her original mugshot from when she was arrested for, I want to say it was battery or assault with a deadly weapon of some kind. And this picture, I must say, is just completely iconic, for the record. In case he wasn't aware, now I don't know how he could be unaware, but the Barbs are absolutely insane. Like mental. Like pieces of their brains are missing. They are crazy. Like they are psychopaths, okay? I'm not exaggerating. I'm not one of the crazy ones, or at least I try not to be, but the Barbs will do anything, including harassment, physical assault, going to jail, vandalism. I mean, they will do it all. So, if he was fearing for his life as a grown man from a 5'2" woman slapping him in the face, fearing for his life, could you imagine what the Barbs were going to do to him had he gotten her arrested? I personally don't even want to think about that. Moving on. Trump Tower. Oh boy, do we have to cover this. So, I'm a little bit late to the story. As we know, the Nicki Minaj thing, that came and went through TMZ in a matter of 48 hours, like a week ago. And I'm just now covering it on my show, but that's okay. You guys are going to learn very quickly. If I make anything of this, you're just going to know that I'm very late to things all the time. So you can't blame me. But anyhow, long story short, we all know, or at least if you're in my hometown of Las Vegas, Nevada, shout out to my Vegans, you would know that on New Year's Day of this year, a heavily decorated veteran named, let's see here, Matthew Livelsberger, or Livelsberger. I'm sorry, I'm butchering all the names today. He was a 37-year-old Green Beret, heavily decorated veteran who bravely served in our own United States Army since 2006. And Mr. Livelsberger then took a rented Tesla Cybertruck, parked it in front of the Trump Hotel, and loaded it with explosives and fireworks, okay? Before he then tragically took his own life detonating the explosives at the same exact time. As far as we know, he was the only casualty, and it's unfortunate that he had to go that way. But he was having a lot of mental issues. He was struggling with PTSD and things like that. So even though he was the only casualty, 7 innocent bystanders were injured in the explosion. The last I heard of Trump experiencing any sort of explosion was when he got diarrhea from eating a recalled double quarter pounder. But on a serious note, Matthew had left letters, right? He'd left letters, as most people do when they claim their own lives. And when the police had discovered the letters, Matthew was saying talking about things about the U.S. being, quote, terminally ill and headed towards collapse. He continued on saying, and I quote, "This is not a terrorist attack. This is a wake-up call. Americans only pay attention to spectacles and violence. What better way to get my point across than a stunt with fireworks and explosives?" And he's not wrong. I mean, Americans really only pay attention to what we would call news when it's bad. People don't really care to hear the good stories or the heroism. And, he was a struggling man who suffered from PTSD. He was deployed to Afghanistan on, I believe, 2 occasions. And the reason for him claiming his own life was, in his own words, to, quote, cleanse his mind and rid himself of the burden of the lives that he had claimed while he was in battle. Here's my take on that, or here's my thing. I think that this is a tragic story. And I know that I, tried to poke a joke at it and everything, but in all seriousness, this is a cry for help. This really goes to show where we're at as a nation. I mean, there is a massive civil unrest in this country, and I do believe in my heart that he did not intend for anybody else to get injured, and this was a massive tragedy. And to be honest, he's right. I mean, this stunt got us talking, and it's unfortunate that it ended up, being his life that was tragically ended in an effort to get us to talk about this stuff. But, between the recent United Healthcare CEO assassination to riots in the streets, this gentleman claiming his own life, I mean, we are at a civil unrest as a nation, and it's time for our government to really step in and hone in and figure this stuff out. All right. On a little bit of a lighter note, not really, because it still pertains to, well, death, but for those of you who don't know or haven't seen the movie Shrek and aren't familiar with his companion Donkey in Shrek, played by the wickedly talented Eddie Murphy, was based on an actual donkey, okay? And the donkey's name was Perry, okay? Now, Perry lived to be 30 years old. And just as of a few days ago, unfortunately, Perry, the donkey that Donkey from Shrek is based on, had passed away. So let's go ahead and have a moment of silence for him. But on a serious note now, I searched far and wide, trying to think, well, what are we going to do? Perry the donkey died, and that's the donkey that the donkey from Shrek was based on. But worry not, guys. Worry not. Because I found his replacement. Okay? What do we think? Benny Blanco. And I'm going to go ahead and do a little bit of a side-by-side. So up on top, we have Benny Blanco. Up on the bottom, we have Donkey. I mean, the resemblance is uncanny. But on a real note, I want to go ahead and talk about Mr. Blanco and his new engagement to Selena Gomez. Okay? Now, the couple have been together reportedly since going back to about June of 2023. And they've been showcasing their relationship on the platform Instagram. Now, on December 11th, Selena Gomez takes to Instagram to showcase a ring. And showcasing the ring, they pretty much confirmed the engagement. And on the post, it was captioned, and I quote, "Forever begins now." Isn't that sweet? Well, then you go to the bottom and see that Mr. Blanco had commented none other than, "Hey, wait, that's my wife." And I made that face because I feel as though he would make that face because what in his right mind, pardon me, what in Selena's mind would compel her to get engaged to Donkey from Shrek? I don't understand. I don't get it. But I just want to say that they do look very happy. And I'm excited and I'm happy for them. And I'm wishing them a happy and prosperous marriage. Now, the couple is reportedly going to get a prenup. Now, for those of us who don't live under rocks, as I mentioned already previously a few minutes ago, you would know that Selena Gomez is a billionaire. Not only is she a billionaire because of her cosmetics company that launched not too long ago called Rare Beauty, she's worth approximately $1.3 billion. Now, if we go ahead and take a look at Mr. Blanco's net worth, he is worth a whopping, drumroll please, $50 million. So, in other words, Selena Gomez could quite literally lose his entire worth 6 times over and still be a billionaire. I mean, to me, that is just madness. According to reporters and sources close to the couple, it comes not out of mistrust, but from a mutual understanding of each other's needs and desire to respect one another. So, at the end of the day, I really do wish them a happy and prosperous marriage, and I mean no ill will to them. I was just poking fun at Benny Blanco, and they do truly look happy. Speaking of engagements, Tom Holland and Zendaya are engaged. Now this is a power couple if I've ever seen one. I don't understand. Just when I see couples like this in Hollywood, it really makes me it makes me get it. I mean, these are two very affluent, very talented, very attractive people. I mean, look at them. If they are not the hottest couple you have ever seen, I don't know. I don't know what to tell you. But the rumors sparked when Zendaya was seen with a mysterious ring on her finger at the Golden Globes. And a source tells People magazine that Tom has always been, quote, crazy about her, and they have something very special. And I believe, I don't really have it here on my computer, so I'm not 100% certain, but I believe it was either Tom's father or Zendaya's father who actually confirmed the engagement by congratulating them publicly. So if I can find that source, I'll go ahead and put it up on the screen now. But I am just very happy for them and glad to see an attractive couple, or at least where both of the parties are attractive. So happy. All right, moving on to the Golden Globes, which we mentioned. You know, we saw that Zendaya was there, and that's where we have the infamous, mysterious, ethereal photo of her ring finger confirming hers and Tom's engagement. But I'd like to move on and talk about the Golden Globes themselves, okay? Anyone who is anyone was there. I mean, from Nicole Kidman to Zendaya to all these beautiful, talented celebrities being there with none other than the wickedly talented and beautiful Nikki Glaser hosting. Now, what I want to talk about is a woman named Jean Smart. Now, Miss Smart is not necessarily a ++++ lister, but she did win her second Golden Globe. Now, she won it for a show being the lead actress in a show called Hacks. Now, for those of you who don't know, I am a very, very famous actor, and I'm only trying to do this podcast talk show thing just for fun. But Miss Jean Smart is in a show called Hacks. And the show Hacks is a comedy, and it's about Jean Smart, who plays a stand-up comedian and her lesbian assistant, and it is absolutely terribly funny. I would put a clip up, but I don't really know what it's like with the copyright status right now. But what I want to say is that I was actually an extra in that show. I was actually 2 feet away from Miss Smart when we were filming at the Fontainebleau earlier this year, and she was absolutely a doll. Now, for those of you who don't know, when you're on a television show set or a movie set, things are moving quickly. I mean, you have camera crew, grips, lighting, directors, the actors, everything. And being an extra was one of the most fun days of my life. I'll go ahead and put up some clips and footage as I speak here of what I got of me like actually sitting in the chair, getting the professional hair and makeup done, some friends that I had met along the way. But I just want to say and brag a little bit about the fact that I got to be next to a Golden Globe winner. Okay? How many of you could say that? How many of you can say that you stood very that close? I could have touched her. I could have kissed her. I could have asked for her cell number. I don't know. Asked for her Instagram. I don't know what old ladies are on right now. But anyhow, for those of you who don't know, like I said, I was just doing the little extra gig because I'm very famous. I mean, the problem is I was supposed to be in some of these major films that have come out over the past few years, but the problem is they're looking for, A++ listers, and they call them at the last second, and all of a sudden they're giving away my spot. Like, take for instance the original poster for Beetlejuice. Until Michael Keaton's schedule cleared up, I was in the front running. Look at me. I'm sitting there like this. I was supposed to be Beetlejuice. Take a look at the poster. Then again, here we go. We have Barbie. Before Ryan Gosling, he said that he was going to be too sick. He couldn't do it. Oh my God. So who do they call? They call me. But unfortunately, at the last second, here he is. Wicked. Here we go. Take a look at the movie poster. There I am. I was originally cast as Galinda, but Cynthia insisted that Ariana Grande take the spot, unfortunately. Speaking of Ariana and Galinda and Wicked and all things Ms. Grande, people have been asking Ariana Grande how she would feel to play Audrey Hepburn in a biopic. Now, here's the thing. The media originally was trying to spin this, okay? They were trying to spin it and make it seem like Ariana's not worthy to be Audrey Hepburn. She's just not Audrey Hepburn. And I agree. But the thing is, Ariana knows that. If you go ahead and take a look at this clip that I'll put up very shortly, Ariana is, she talks about how she adores the women from the 50s and 60s, mentioning Audrey Hepburn, mentioning Marilyn Monroe, and said that if that is something that's in her near future, it would have to be done perfectly, which I agree. Who was debating? Audrey Hepburn was a humanitarian. She was stunning. She was talented. She is everything that modern Hollywood is not today, okay? And then a funny little clip there too. Another reporter had asked her about playing Audrey Hepburn, and she goes, "Why is everyone asking me this?" But then at the end, she also says, "I love you." How sweet is that? Here's my thing on that. I agree that Ariana Grande and Audrey Hepburn do have some very physical similarities. And I do think that Ariana Grande is talented enough to play the ethereal Audrey Hepburn. But when we look at Ariana's track record, is it really the best? I don't know. That isn't really for me to decide. But I do know, I can confidently say that Audrey Hepburn probably was not spending her spare time licking donuts in a donut shop. Cross-contamination. All right, well, I have had a lot of fun thus far in this first episode, and I hope you guys did too if you made it this far. I'm not really certain. I'm still kind of playing around to see, kind of what I want the length of the videos to be, and I just hope you enjoyed your time with me today. And as always, I would love to hear your thing. So go ahead and sound off in the comments, or just send me a direct message, or wherever you're seeing this. If you have something to say, or maybe I offended you, or maybe you agree with me, or maybe you just, have a topic that you want me to talk about, or whatever it is, let me know. The show is called Here's My Thing, but I'd love to hear yours. Now, before we go, I'd like to really hone in on something really serious going on right now, and I want to talk about the California fires. Okay? There have been massive outbreaks of multiple fires going on, and some of them are acts of arson. I mean, these are literal terrorist attacks and should not be taken lightly. I mean, overnight, or what felt like overnight, Southern California, has burned to the ground. And people are losing their homes, their pets, their livelihoods, their memories. This is very serious. So I looked up some statistics for you. It is the worst in the state's entire history with fires, okay? Over 36,000 acres thus far have been burned to the ground, okay? In other words, the entire city of Boston would be leveled, okay? over 10,000 buildings have been burned to the ground, and thus far there's only been 11 confirmed deaths, and over 200,000 mandatory evacuation notices. The damage is upwards of 60 to 100 billion dollars in damages, and I don't even have anything to say. I mean, I'm completely heartbroken at the tragedy, and if you want to help out, I am going to put a few links to, ways to support. I myself am going to commit a couple $100 to the fund because that's personally what I can afford, but I do feel like I do owe that to some people. Now, in the next episode, we're going to cover some of the big corporations and celebrities that have pledged money and or clothing or items or started charities to the fund, but I also want to poke a little bit of fun at it because people are forgetting that these celebrities are going to be okay. You know what I mean? Like, yes, they're losing their houses and their memories and everything like that, but at the end of the day, they're going to be fine. Think about the mother in California paying 85% in taxes, having 3 jobs and kids. This is going to irreversibly destroy some people's lives in an inconceivable way. So again, I'd like to finish the show by saying that my heart goes out to everyone in Southern California. And if you'd like to help, click one of the links down below and let me know your story. So yeah, at the end of the day, this has been Here's My Thing. I'm your host, Frankie Salazar, and I will see you in the next one.